Hey guys, welcome back to Aspiring Gent. I am Louis Jaramita and I'm going to show you really quickly how to hem your pants, either keeping the original hem or doing it all from scratch. I'm going to be showing you on a casual pant, so like denim, chinos. So what do I mean when I mean keeping the original hem or doing it from scratch? So simply, if you have a pair of jeans like this, you have the hem at the bottom. It has some distressing right along there, and some people like that. They don't want to get rid of that. So keeping the original hem is in essence shortening the pant without getting rid of that, keeping that on there. The doing it from scratch is just cutting it and then folding it down, re-top stitching it. It'll be a clean look like that. You don't get to keep the distress. And afterwards, you will know how to hem any pair of pants that you have without a problem. So let's start with the from scratch option. So I'm not going to be showing you how I mark them because again, these are just some scrap pants. They're not going to fit me or anybody that I know. So we're just going to pick a length. Let's say we're just shortening this guy right about here. It's almost about 3 inches. This is going to be our finished length. This is where we want it to end by. So from this finished length that we have just identified, we are going to measure up to there, which is a little over 2.5 inches. Measure onto this side. And then we're going to make a mark straight across. And we're going to do it on the other side as well. Okay, so now we're going to make the cuff. Now this one comes to almost about 1 inch cuff, 3/4 of an inch. I think it's a bit much. Usually I'm at like 1/2 inch is kind of standard nowadays. So with having a 1/2 inch cuff, you just want to add another 1/2 inch so it can turn up onto itself and there's no fraying. So we're gonna go down 1 inch, make it 1.25 inches just to be safe. Now we have our cut line mark. We're just gonna take the scissors, go right along there, and then we'll be ready to turn off our hem to get stitched. So here we have the method for the original hem. We have the mark where we wanted to finish, same as on the other leg. And then what we had to end up doing is measuring up the amount of the cuff. So like I said, 3/4 of an inch, add that onto there. And that's where you're going to be sewing the cuff onto to compensate for its length, to make sure we're at the perfect length of our pant. So now we're going to move over to the iron so that we can set all of this up and get ready to put it all together. With your iron heating up, I use this little pressing buck to kind of get a better press on it. And the pant leg that we're going to be starting from scratch is turned inside out. What we're going to do is we're going to fold it up to the mark that we made for that finished mark, that line right there. And we're just gonna press it down right like that. So once you've gone all the way around, I'm gonna open it up, take the raw edge, and we're going to fold it up to the crease line. So this is where the finished line we just marked was. We're just gonna fold it in half and split the difference all the way around as well. But make sure when you're ironing this, you don't get rid of this crease here. You're just barely hitting the edge of it. See if you can see that. Just like that, so that you have this crease as well as that crease in there, and it'll look just like that. Now for the original hem, we're not going to be ironing anything, but we are pin basting. If this is your first time trying this or you're not super comfortable, we're going to just take this hem line here and we're going to pin it up to this higher mark. So literally just take it, fold it up, and see if that lines up on it. And you're gonna pin all the way around. I would suggest though, starting on one of the seams, That way you know that those line up perfectly, because that's really the only thing that's going to make this look unnatural, is if when you sew it, this seam isn't perfectly lined up and it's more like that. People are going to notice that from a mile away. So make sure that you start by lining it up on the mark like this, pinning it down all the way across that line. And there we go, all the way pinned around. And if you feel like this still isn't enough, just lay the pant down and then press this guy down. That'll also help keep it right in place. But other than that, we're gonna go right over to the machine and start the sewing. So we are at the handy dandy home sewing machine. I do have the bigger machine right over here next to it, but one, it needs a little bit of maintenance to it, and plus I feel like this is going to be the type of machine most people have readily accessible, so this is the one I'm going to use. If you are using your home sewing machine, make sure that you put a needle in that's going to be more rated for denim. Otherwise, there's a very good chance that it could break. And look at that, I just broke it. I'm an idiot inside the machine. So starting off, we're doing the from scratch hem. That way, just to keep it uniform, that's the one we've been starting with the whole time. What we're going to do is keep it, we're gonna turn it right side out. No, we're gonna keep it inside out, and we're going to just line it up. If your machine disconnects like this, to have a freestanding arm makes a world of difference for sewing. But I like to just start on this side here. Put this bad boy in like that. And we're just going to stitch as close to this line as we can all the way around. And there we have it. You just have it stitched. This is gonna hold and go right across there. I will say, if you are doing this on your own pants, as you notice, this kind of looks weird and dinky. That's because I'm using an all-purpose thread that is black. If I were you, I would be finding some kind of darker, heavy-duty denim thread. This is also why you would need a bigger needle to make it look a lot better, kind of match what the original one was. Again, this is for demonstration purposes. No matter what kind of thread you're using, it's the same exact process. This is just what I had readily available, so I did it. But with a darker, more denim-based thread, this is gonna look a lot better, but you get the mechanics of it. Now, that method is definitely a lot more straightforward than keeping the original hem, but don't be worried. It is pretty easy to do this in this method that I'm showing you. All you're going to do is pretty much the same thing stitching around, but what we're going to do is stitch as close to that line right there as we can. We want to stitch pretty much on it if we can. Again, start on one of these edges so that you know it's going to be locked in. And remove the pins along the way while you're sewing. So the reason for sewing this is that when you turn it down, that goes right along there. And as you can see, I'm a little bit off on that side. This side's pretty close, but that's kind of what you're looking for, is that match. But when you turn it up just like that, it kind of looks like it's right along the bottom. Now the next step, if you have the correct machine, is to serge this bottom edge. But if you are trying to do a serious DIY job, you can just leave it on there and we're going to just top stitch along. But if you have a serger or you're taking in way more than what we're doing here, like if this is an extra like inch longer, I would say pinking shears, zigzag it, serge it, whatever it takes, because it would look kind of bulky. But because we're only taking a little bit in and I want to show you how to do this as simply as possible, we're just going to turn this extra fabric up and we're going to top stitch as close to this edge as we can all the way along. I'm going to be using a black thread to kind of see how it works, but a blue thread that matches this would be better just because you want this seam to look as natural as possible. I think black's going to stand out a little bit, but a nice blue or like a denim style thread would look really good. That's the finished product, and as you can see, you can still see this black thread. It's actually not too bad, but if you had a blue that matched, I'm sure you can imagine how much better that would look. But that is the process for keeping the original hem. Kind of a quicker version than like I would typically do, but again, on this channel I want to show you guys how to do this easily and effectively with whatever tools you may have. And all we've used for this whole process is sewing machine, scissors, chalk, and a ruler. Anything you guys can get from your local like Walmart actually. But yeah, that's how that looks. But seriously, these are very simple at-home remedies for shortening your pants. You can do the very quick cut, roll up, and sew, or if you want to get a little bit fancier, you can do this really nice keeping the original hem hack. Again, there are other ways you can keep the original hem, and there are ways that I prefer to do it on customers' clothing, but because of the length and extent of it, and the specialty tools, I really wanted to do something that you guys could easily do with just a sewing machine and some simple measuring tools, which anyone can get from like a Walmart or Joann Fabrics. So that's that for you guys for this tutorial. Hopefully you found it informative. If you like it, please give me a like, give me a subscribe, share it, comment, let me know your thoughts, because that is how I make this channel even better. Hopefully you are seeing a progression with it. I'm doing my best to make it work for you guys, so let me know what you'd like to hear or what you thought of this video, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.